Somewhere in the universe, a young Valorian decided to embark on a frigid adventure in the deepest parts of space.
Hiya! It's really freezing in here. Please send help. For the past couple of months, I've been playing Starbound trying to find out if it's possible to beat this game with just using snowballs. Now let me explain how I came up with this challenge. I have roughly about between 450 to 500 hours into Starbound, and I'm not kind of proud of that. I should probably go touch some grass if you that's what you're thinking. One day, I was playing Starbound and I was looking up how to get certain materials in Frackin' Universe. I wanted to make some frostburn alien meat to eat and fill out my food collection tab. And in order to make it, you need snow and raw meat. I know you're giving me that look, but don't judge me. When you're a Florin in Frackin', you gotta do what you gotta do when you have to survive when it comes to the diet system in Frackin'. But then it hit me. I've never made snowballs and used them in this game, even in like the vanilla version of this game. So after eating some alien meat and fooling around with some snowballs, I then decided to look up what was one of the worst weapons in the game, and come to find out, some people claim that snowballs are actually really bad when it comes to its damage output. Yeah, 3. Honestly, I was gonna make fun of myself for having 500 hours in this game and never knowing how bad snowballs are. But I'm not gonna lie, I asked myself who in the world would play this game like this if snowballs have apparently a damage output of 0.75, and not to mention the max damage output with these snowballs is 6 with gigantic snowballs. But however, I started getting flashbacks to a previous challenge run video that I made last year. But I'm down to make another one of these videos, to be fair. I'm thinking about maybe doing a Starbound challenge run next. I don't know when, but I'm willing to do it though. Well, I said I was willing to do it, so let's dive right in. First off, I'm going to list all the rules for this run. What would be considered the end goal or the main goal for this run would be killing the Rune, which is the last boss in the story, with snowballs from start to finish. Number 1 rule is the only weapon I can use is snowballs, obviously, in this game. And what is classified as another weapon is what I'm going off of the official Starbound wiki page of the weapon page. So no guns, no swords, no hammers, no other throwable weapons. If I do come across these weapons, I'll just sell them since I can't really use them. However, if I do accidentally use a weapon in this run, I will use the admin suicide command. That will be my punishment if I accidentally use a weapon. Speaking of admin commands, I'm not going to be using any other command other than the suicide one. My second rule is that I will allow the use of pets and crew members for this run, mainly since I'm using one of the weakest throwables in the game. I figured that having followers in this run wouldn't really be such a issue for this challenge. I mean, they're there, so I might as well like use and abuse them, I guess. Even though I know that crew members use weapons, the whole idea is that I only use snowballs in this playthrough from start to finish. One last rule is that this is going to be a 100% vanilla run of the game, with no mods and with a complete reset of the entire universe. And that's pretty much it. And with that, we can start our adventure. So, I boot up Starbound and make a character and name him the Snow King. I set the difficulty to survival mainly because survival seems like the best way how this game is meant to be played, whereas casual is a little bit easier and you don't need to worry about your food bar, and hardcore is where if you die, well, you stay dead forever. Also, I'm not playing the intro because there's actually a part in the intro where you have to attack an entity with a sword. Thanks to the convenience of this being here to be able to skip the intro, this run would not be possible. I make my character, and my game crashed. I remake my character and start the game and wake up in my ship. After getting some things out of my locker, I beam down to the starter planet. So let me mention this really quick. Every starter planet in this game actually doesn't have snow on it at all. And since the only weapon I can use is snowballs, you might be wondering, how are we going to defend ourselves if the starter planet doesn't have any snow on it? Well, there are 3 options. 1 is to run away and ignore all my problems. 2 is to use blocks and trap enemies and run around them. Or 3, we can upgrade our mana manipulator to collect lava and dump it on the enemy. I do want to just say this, but lava is not really considered as a weapon according to the Starbound wiki page, so I'm allowing it to be used in this run like this. So I got 3 methods on how to defend myself on the starter planet, with the easiest mobs in the game. Sounds easy, right? Ow. Ow. Oh, okay. Please? Yep, I was definitely here. Yep, okay, let me get back up here. If I scan. Nope. Okay, it's a little frustrating that I'm getting my butt kicked by a bunch of starter mobs in the game. But hey, I found the ancient gate, and all I need is 20 core fragments to open up the gate to get to the outpost. I dug down into the core of the planet and mined all the fragments down there, mainly because every time I went to the little mine shaft that every starter planet has, I was always greeted with death. No, okay. Well, that was horrendous. I open up the gate and make my way to Esther, which nobody loves her because she makes you do the most boring quest in the game. And we ask Penguin Pete to fix our ship. Unfortunately, we can't get our ship fixed until we get some air-cheese crystals from the mining facility. Pete gives us the coordinates to go to the mining facility, but first I decided to make some iron armor and some healing items before going there. And trust me, I'm gonna need all the protection I'm gonna need on this mission. I boot up the coordinates in my ship and I beam to the facility. Now, I'm going to explain something about this mission and the scenario that I'm in. So the only way to really attack anything right now in this game is with lava. However, in mission levels, you can't place down blocks or destroy them. So using lava is out of the question to use in this mission, and placing blocks to trap our enemies is also out of the question too. So what do? I scream at the top of my lungs while running into every enemy in the mining facility while spamming bandages to the boss room, of course. Did you really think I would come up with a strategy to actually kill everything in this mining facility with very little options? I'm not John Wick. There's no way I got moves like him. I have high pain tolerance though, which is what's making this actually surprisingly possible. Going to the boss room. Ow, you actually got a hit on me. That's terrible. And what do you know? It worked! Now, the first boss in this game is weirdly and funny enough the most unique boss in this game. And they're unique because, well, all you have to do is run around a room and press buttons to activate this missile thingy that's under him to kill him. And you have to do this like 4 times to like kill him. Yeah, no, this boss actually just sucks. But whatever, we do it with no sweat and gather our crystals and go and repair our ship for the next part of the run in this game. So after going to the mining facility and getting my ship fixed, I go talk to Esther again and she gives me the worst possible quest in the entire game. And yep, and that's the main storyline. What you have to do on this quest line is that you have to go to a bunch of planets and universes to scan specific race and species origins to learn more about them in order to progress in the game. It sounds easy, but it sometimes isn't. It's all really about luck. Sometimes you go to a village and everything will just be there to scan, but sometimes you get to a village and you don't have enough things to scan. It's really more of a hassle and more of a different topic for probably a different video, honestly. But before I do anything else in this game, I'm gonna have to grind a lot for better gear, tech upgrades, crew members, pets, finding racial villages and structures, making myself a farm, make new friends, go to college, get a girlfriend, pay my taxes. Oh my god, the list goes on and on. I think I'm just gonna quit and leave. No, this section is called the grind for a reason. You see, a regular Starbound player would have just gave up and never returned. But we are the Giga Chat of the universe. I have to face my problems one by one until they are done. So the first thing that I did after pretty much deciding what I wanted to do next was get some resources for making a breathing EPP and went onto a moon and started to mine some Airtreus crystals for fuel for my spaceship. After getting a lot of fuel, I found a snow planet and put a flag down and called it my ammo planet, and started to mine a ton of snow. And finally, I can have the only weapon that I'm allowed to use in this entire playthrough. I make gigantic snowballs for the best damage output. I also want to note that making a stack of gigantic snowballs also takes just really long for no reason. I made just about almost 6 stacks of gigantic snowballs in the game for an entire stream, and you want to know how long that stream was? 5.5 hours of just me making snowballs. 5.5 hours of just me making 6 stacks of gigantic snowballs. After finally getting some snowballs, my next priority is armor. You see, armor in games typically just give you more defense. However, that's not just the case in Starbound. Armor is your everything in Starbound, actually. Armor gives you more health, defense, energy, and most importantly for this run, attack power. So the best possible armor for this run would be Ferocium armor, because it boosts your attack power. And then upgrade that with Silurium. Since I'm playing as a Florin, the Shaman armor is what I'm aiming for. While I was mining for materials for armor, I was giving out some pretty good advice to my stream. So, I don't think I've mentioned this before, but at the end of At the bottom of every planet, there's a pit of lava at the bottom of every planet. If the worst place you ever want to be is literally in that pit of lava, obviously. Not because, you know, you're gonna die, but if you die, you have very little success of trying to grab your stuff back. Man, imagine saying some basic advice like this and not doing what you just said. Couldn't be me in a lifetime. I'm gonna take the chance. Oh god. No. No! Oh my god, I just lost everything. That didn't happen. Anyway, while grinding for better equipment, I'm going to need some pets and crew members on board to make my life a little bit easier. You see, to get crew members, you have to find a village and do quests for the villagers. Unfortunately, Starbound's quests can feel very repetitive, like how some quests are in other games that I know.
Another settlement has sent word that they need our help. I'll mark it on your map. We'll find out what they need.
Now sometimes, you will either get a goodies bag for being a good Samaritan, or you might actually get lucky to get somebody to join you on your first try. However, the downfall to this is that this could be very time consuming, considering that it's a random chance to get someone to join you on your ship. However, these quests are sometimes really easy and really a no-brainer. Like giving 8 pieces of wood to a quest giver, and then having to escort the quest giver to a dangerous avian temple while trying to keep them alive, to make a transaction deal with a merchant that's being held hostage by a bunch of avian guardians, and then giving that transaction item to his girlfriend in the village on the other side of the planet. And after doing that, we have to give the girlfriend 8 pieces of wood and then give that item that she made back to the quest giver all the way back over to the temple, and then we get a item bag. I was hoping he would join me. But oh wait, he has another quest for me. Maybe it'll be something easier this time. Wait. Nope, never mind. Acquire timber. Wait a minute. Wait, what? We just did this quest. What do you... Okay, you want to do it again? We'll do it again. If it makes you happy. If it makes you happy, and if you join me on my space adventure, I would love that. I mean, you've been protecting me in this temple, so I kind of like what you're doing already. I'm not joking. This is how quests in this game be like sometimes, when you're trying to get crew members in the vanilla version of this game. And I freaking hate it. Burrow under the fort hill. Actually, you're not wrong, actually. At first I was like, huh. I actually, I was a little scared to, actually, let me look a little bit more over here. Yeah, there's no ghost over here. I was scared that there would be, like, ghosts underneath him, and they would, like, just come up and, like, start attacking me. Hello? Wait, where are you going? No! He just made everything so much harder. Yeah, he just ruined the plan. So I do the quest again to hopefully get this guy or either his girlfriend to join me on my space crew. And I get pants. Pants? Your girlfriend never loved you. End of story. I wish I could use mods and guns for a solid 60 seconds. After thinking about committing homicide, I actually went to another village to steal some refrigerators for all the food that I'm gonna cook and farm for. Wait, there's refrigerators here. Okay, when no one's looking, I'm gonna steal a refrigerator. Why is this relevant? Because it isn't. I just wanted to show off what doing quests and being a good Samaritan does to you when you try to be nice to NPCs in this game sometimes. After dying a lot from stupid quests and to win people's affection, which was sometimes not worth it, I do eventually get some crew members on board and be able to upgrade my ship. Honestly, I had better luck catching pets mainly because, funny enough, snowballs are a good weapon to use to catch pets in this game. And in order to catch pets in the game, you have to have them really low health and you throw a capture pod on them. And the reason why snowballs are actually a good weapon to use to catch pets is because Snowballs don't do a whole lot of damage, and you don't want to try to kill the pet, obviously, because he would die and there would be no point of catching him. Along with all of this going on, I do get some tech upgrades, I make myself a farm and a bunch of fluffalo. This will be important later in the video, trust me. And set up flags and villages and structures to scan at a later time. After all this grinding for armor, snowballs, crew members, and such and so, it's finally time for the story mission in this game. Now that I'm decked out on everything, and I'm basically a walking tank that did all the side quests before doing the main quest, I'm now onto the story missions. All of the story missions are just like the mining facility where you can't dig out blocks and place blocks, but since now we have snowballs, we don't have to worry about running away like I did in the mining facility. But before I did any of the story missions, I went onto my farm and gathered food. Now since we're playing on survival mode, we need to eat, but we're gonna need food that's just not gonna fill our food bar up. The nice thing about food in this game is that some food give off special buffs. The food that I'm taking with me on the story missions is food that gives off health and strength buffs. So I make sure I'm doing slightly more damage with my snowballs, and I can make sure that I can take a couple more hits from the enemy. Also, I mentioned about my fluffalo from earlier. These little guys drop plant fiber. I know I could run around a cave and gather plant fiber easily, but I need to mass produce as much fiber as possible because I'm gonna need to make woven fabric with this plant fiber and make bandages with this. And bandages is the most broken healing item in the game. And the reason why is because it's super cheap to make and they heal you really quickly with like no cooldown to use another. I get my preparations done and now I'm ready to tackle the first story mission in the game, the hunting ground quest. Once landing in the hunting grounds, me and my crew head down to the depths of the cave to retrieve the Florin artifact. Also, since I have endgame armor, I decided to see how much damage I was doing with regular snowballs. Actually, how much damage do the regular snowballs actually do with this kind of armor set that I have on? I'm kind of curious now. 7? Oh my god, I'm actually killing them with the snowballs. That's actually pretty good. Now these numbers don't sound like a lot, but having the giant snowballs on us, they do so much more damage than just the measly regular snowballs that we just have. I'm not gonna lie, this dungeon wasn't hard at all thanks to me grinding a lot for better gear and having a really high damage output thanks to my better gear. Heck, my crew alone pretty much dealt with most of the enemies in here, saving me a lot of snowballs for later encounters. Along the way to the boss and the artifact, we meet a young Florin named Nuru, and she's looking to be the next grand champion in the hunting grounds that we're currently in right now. Me, my crew, and Nuru get to the boss with no sweat, and we're greeted with the boss, Ixodoom. Ixodoom is a real simple boss. He just dives down to attack, shoots poison at you, and sends its babies to attack us. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even really do much in this fight. I did some damage to Ixodoom, but honestly Nuru was the one who killed the boss, considering that she can't die in this fight and her attack towards the boss was doing a decent amount compared to my regular snowballs. Nuru's doing more damage than I am on this thing. She might as well actually handle it. We might as well handle it with these things on the freaking floor. So I decided to just not use any of my gigantic snowballs on this fight because I felt like it would have been a waste of resources considering that Nuru was already doing a good amount to them. My crew fended off the babies while this was going on too, and we killed the boss, grabbed the artifact, and Nuru joins us at the outpost at the end of this. The next story mission is the Holoit Grand Library. Upon going into the library, we find a hologram of Koichi, a nerdy Holoit that's upset with books and got ambushed by these crazy cult members called the Sus? Whatever, I'll just call them the Okamoka Club. This cult is actually a racist group in the game and plan to destroy all other species other than humans. Since we're not human, I'm offended. Anyway, this dungeon is not that hard, kinda similar to the previous one. Me and my crew go down to the very bottom of the library and find the cult's racist leader, Nox. She has a variety of attacks and thankfully didn't do a lot to me thanks to my endgame armor. Nox will eventually get tired and that's when I have a chance for me and my crew to attack her. We rinse and repeat this process until she gives up. Nice. Well, my crew members wanted to kill her apparently.
Die, damn you!
I love how they're just killing her.
I fought mud crabs more fearsome than you. Why won't you die?
Anyway, we save Koichi, grab the artifact, and head on to the next mission. Going forward, we have to do the Great Sovereign Temple. Upon entering the temple, we meet Tanawak, a religious bird that keeps the temple safe and clean. Well, only really the entrance of the temple, considering that most of the temple is riddled with booby traps, enemies, and laser beams. Again, this dungeon's really easy for the most part, and me and my crew make it to the boss room and meet the Kuliek's avatar. So this boss has two phases. His first phase is where he shoots lasers and spawns ice spikes from the ground. This phase wasn't bad, and I get through it with no sweat, but the second phase was a little bit harder that my crewmates actually died during this part of the fight. In the second phase of the fight, he shoots more lasers at you and summons even more spikes into the ground. It has a weird vacuum attack that can really do some damage. And lastly, summons lava off the ground and shoots a lava beam from below. However, I managed to finish the boss off with some gigantic snowballs. After a really stressful fight, I get the artifact and Tanawak joins the outpost. It's time to do the Stronghold mission. Me and my crew head into a war zone and meet a Apex named Lana Blake that's leading a resistance in the war zone. She tells us that we need to go into the lab in order to get to her. We head down into the lab and it's running rampant with killer mini robots, crazy Apex scientists and mercs, and weirdly and creepy enough, zombie mutant Apexes? Oh my god. What in the world were the Apexes doing to their own people? Anyway, I'm not gonna lie, this mission was actually a challenge. My crew would die not even about halfway into the lab, and I even died when doing this mission on my first try.
No! Aw.
So I go on to my second try.
Dang, I'm only doing 2 damage to these guys.
And my crew dies on me around the beginning of the mission again.
Wait, please don't tell me my other follower just died. Oh my god, he just did.
But I managed to get to the boss room, and the only company that I really have with me is my pets. I walk into the boss room and we fight the big ape. And this boss is not a joke. So this boss attacks is really, oh, how would I describe it? Lasers, lasers, lasers everywhere. And I guess rockets too. So this boss just shoots a bunch of projectiles at you, but the catch here is that he has 4 phases in this fight, and in order to kill him is by destroying these little gun turrets that are revolving around him. And each time you destroy a gun turret, he becomes more and more ruthless with the amount of projectiles and the speed that they're flying at you. What I did in this fight was use gigantic snowballs to really bring down the health of the gun turrets. And I used some of my pets to bring down some of the gun turrets as well. I also want to point out that this boss has the most amount of health out of every boss in this game. So bringing him down actually took a lot of time and patience, and eventually I got to manage to destroy him.
Oh, that was a lot harder than I expected it to be.
After a really long battle with the big ape, I grab the artifact, and Lana joins us at the outpost. So, I mine a lot of lava for this next mission in the story. But hold the phone! Why am I mining lava for a story mission if you can't place blocks in a mission area? Well, I'll tell you when we get to that part in a second. So, we start up the Baron's Keep mission, where we find a glitch named the Baron. He's just chilling in his castle until literally the Okamoka Club decides to attack us out of nowhere. I also want to point out that this guy is really lazy. He literally just stands there and watches you to defend his castle while he's not doing anything. But anyway, in this mission we really are just playing a game of tower defense against a racist cult, then really exploring a dungeon to where we have to get to a boss room and fight a boss. Hordes of the racist cult keep coming into the castle, but me and my crew are defending them off while I carelessly chug snowballs at the cult. After some time, Nuru and Lana come into the battlefield and help into the fight, which I'm not complaining, to be honest. I was really scared about this mission because this holdout thing that we have going on is making me use a lot of my own snowballs, and I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough for the boss. After defending the castle for a good while, I lost all of my crew members in this fight and even some of my pets too. Nuru and Lana leave the battlefield for no reason and leave me with the Bone Dragon to fight alone, along with another horde of the racist cult members coming in. So this boss is really simple when it comes to attacking. It just shoots fireballs at us, and that's really it. But I also need to worry about the cult members too that are coming in. You see, I had like 20 cult members rush at me as if they were trying to like lynch me for just being a plant, and probably were calling me horrible plant stereotypical names. But fear not! The best way to keep any racist cult member away from you is with lava. You see, in this mission, when the bone dragon comes in, it will destroy this tower in this section of the map. However, I found out that you could still place blocks in certain areas of the tower in this mission. So what I did was place a huge pile of lava to keep these nasty racist cult members away from me. So this way I could fight the dragon one-on-one without really having them interrupt our fight. This was a really slow process because the bone dragon was only taking 17 damage from my strongest weapon, which was the gigantic snowballs. So what I did to make my life easier was summon any kind of pet that was able to fly and attack the dragon. However, my pets weren't even doing a whole lot of damage to them either, but hey, every bit of damage counts in this stressful fight. I just kept rinsing and repeating this process of me placing lava down to keep the cult members at bay, while fighting the dragon one-on-one until it eventually dies.
Hey, we did it.
After all of this, we grab the artifact, and we get that lazy glitch baron to join us at the outpost. And we're getting ready to finally get to the final part of this run. I finally made it to the end of the game, but before I go back to Earth and fight the ruin, I'm gonna have to do some mad preparation to ensure that I'm ready for the big bad eyeball monster that destroyed Earth. So here's what my preparation routine is gonna be like. Alright, did you catch all that? What? What do you mean you didn't catch any of that? Oh wait, remember when I said I did a 5.5 hour stream of just me making snowballs? Well, you witnessed it in like 22 times speed. I'm doing you a favor, okay? I was bored out of my mind while making these snowballs. Also, during the stream, I stockpiled on a lot of food and a lot of bandages for my Fluffalo. I made a lot of red stim packs as well because red stim packs give you health regeneration. And combining this with food that gives me bonus health is ideally going to make me stay alive longer during the final fight. So I have everything on me and ready to go through the portal at the outpost. Once me and my crew land on an infested earth that's festering in blood, monsters, and tentacles, I dig downwards. Upon digging down, me and my crew fight these fleshy abominations while trying to get deeper into the root of the planet. Once getting into the boss room, I prep myself and I step into the room. Walking into the room, we find Nox, and she goes off another racist spiel about how humans are going to rule the galaxy, even though she's part of the reason why their home world is destroyed by a tentacle monster. Ironic, huh? We beat Nox very similar to how we did earlier when we first fight her. I also like to mention that the game doesn't really even consider her as a boss because she only has a normal health bar when you fight her at this time. But anyway, she gives off one final spiel about humans are great and everybody else sucks, and she disappears, and the ruin wakes up and the real fight begins. So the ruin, funny enough, only has 3 attacks. One attack is where it will summon its tentacles out of the ground and come on the sides of the arena. Another attack that the ruin does is summoning enemies from other worlds into the arena, which makes the battleground in this fight a real cluster of chaos if there's way too many enemies. And lastly, it shoots a devastating laser beam from its eye that even the enemies that spawn in don't survive from. So I bust out my gigantic snowballs for max damage use for this fight, and I do roughly 62 damage to the ruin for a good bit, until I realize that if I eat food that gives me a little damage boost, I could do at most 80 damage for a certain amount of time when this buff is active. My crewmates held off the monsters that spawned in the beginning of the fight for a good while, but unfortunately they died from being swarmed or being eviscerated by the ruin's laser eye beam. After my crewmates died on me only a quarter into the fight, I started to use my pets for any kind of assistance in this fight. While fighting the ruin and being tossed around in the arena by a bunch of enemies and constantly healing and buffing myself, I was slowly doing some damage to the ruin altogether, but at a very slow pace. However, I kept chugging at this pace and eventually managing to deliver the final blow to the ruin.
Hey, we did it.
However, the ruin self-destructs and blows up all of Earth and us inside of it. But don't worry, God talks to us about how amazing I am at destroying a giant space eyeball with snowballs and gives me a second chance at life. And we became basically Space Jesus. And there you have it. It is possible to beat this game with snowballs. Would I recommend it? Absolutely not. The amount of time it takes to make a decent amount of gigantic snowballs is so ridiculously long, honestly kinda made parts of this run feel really boring. But hey, I really enjoyed it. It's good to try to test your knowledge on a game to see what you could do what others might think it's impossible. So yeah, as this video has technically taken me like roughly 5 to 6 months to make, from theory crafting to streaming to editing, I just want to say thank you for making it this far into the video. I really do appreciate it. I'm not sure what to do for our next challenge run. I was thinking about maybe doing Castlevania or maybe something from the Metro series. I don't know. Maybe or some other game as of right now. I have no idea. I also want to let you know that all of the footage from this video is all from my streams that I did earlier in this year. So if you want to see the raw footage, I'll link the streams in the description. I also want to make more Starbound videos in more regards of like mods or in some other form other than like ABC covers as well. I don't know what I would do, but I would love to make I would love to make videos for this game. I really enjoy this game. I honestly want to do some more stuff with this game, honestly. I'll still post some more indie horror game videos that I'm currently making right now, just so I can stay kind of consistent with like uploads as much as possible. But with all that said, I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one.